every hidden advantage of the cabins at Camp Half-Blood. When people talk about the cabins at Camp Half-Blood, they usually focus on powers: lightning, fire, water, combat skill. This video is about something different. This is a breakdown of every hidden advantage the cabins carry. Not secret abilities, not lost lore, but practical edges that shape survival, influence, leadership, and long-term outcomes across the series. Once you stop looking at cabins as power sets and start looking at how they actually affect results, Camp Half-Blood starts making a lot more sense. Hermes Cabin. Hidden advantage: information control. Hermes kids sit at the center of camp life without ever running it. Their role puts them everywhere. They move between cabins, they carry messages, they deliver supplies, they overhear arguments and alliances forming in real time. That constant movement turns into information dominance. Hermes campers know who's feuding, who's lying, who's planning something reckless, and who needs help before problems escalate. They learn patterns, they know schedules, they understand how the camp actually functions beneath the surface. In any conflict, the group that knows more reacts faster. Hermes Cabin consistently knows more than anyone else. Information also creates leverage. Knowing who is angry, who is scared, and who is planning something reckless allows Hermes kids to influence outcomes without confrontation. They can warn the right people, delay bad decisions, or accelerate good ones. Over time, this shapes the camp's stability far more than combat strength. Aphrodite Cabin. Hidden advantage: influence. Aphrodite kids understand how emotions shape behavior. Attention, loyalty, jealousy, trust, attraction. These forces quietly determine outcomes at Camp Half-Blood far more often than combat ability. They influence who feels confident, who hesitates, who feels supported, and who feels isolated. Alliances shift. Conflicts cool down or intensify. Decisions change direction. Influence creates outcomes without confrontation. In a camp full of fighters, the ability to redirect people without fighting becomes one of the most powerful advantages of all. Influence compounds. Once people associate Aphrodite kids with confidence, approval, or reassurance, others seek them out naturally. That creates feedback loops of trust and dependence. In high-stress environments, emotional anchors become power centers, even if no one openly acknowledges them as such. Demeter Cabin. Hidden advantage: sustainability. Demeter kids control growth, agriculture, and renewal. That power rarely looks impressive in battle, but it defines survival over time. They influence food supply. They influence recovery after damage. They influence how quickly the camp returns to normal after disaster. In prolonged danger, strength fades. Resources decide everything. A camp that eats well, recovers faster, and maintains stability outlasts stronger enemies. Demeter Cabin keeps Camp Half-Blood functioning when endurance matters more than heroics. Long-term survival rarely looks dramatic. Food supply, recovery speed, and environmental stability work quietly in the background. Camps that ignore sustainability burn out faster, even if they win early battles. Demeter Cabin prevents that slow collapse, which makes their contribution invisible until it's gone. Apollo Cabin. Hidden advantage: morale and recovery. Apollo kids stabilize the camp physically and emotionally. Healing reduces casualties. Music calms fear. Prophecy gives direction when confusion spreads. Groups with high morale perform better, make fewer mistakes, and recover faster from loss. Panic spreads quickly in dangerous environments, and Apollo Cabin slows that spread. By maintaining emotional balance and physical recovery, this cabin prevents collapse during extended crises. Survival depends on resilience, and Apollo Cabin reinforces it constantly. Recovery also preserves experience. Injured or emotionally drained demigods lose effectiveness even after surviving combat. Apollo Cabin shortens that downtime. More veterans stay active. Knowledge stays in circulation. That continuity strengthens the entire camp across multiple conflicts. Hephaestus Cabin. Hidden advantage: pre-fight control. Hephaestus kids influence conflicts long before swords are drawn. Weapons, armor, traps, automatons, defensive systems. Their work shapes how battles unfold. Preparation creates advantage. Well-equipped fighters survive longer. Traps disrupt enemies. Defenses reduce losses. By the time combat begins, the conditions already favor those who prepared. Hephaestus Cabin controls those conditions. Their advantage lies in shaping outcomes before anyone realizes a fight is coming. Preparation also reduces randomness. Fewer surprises mean fewer catastrophic losses. Traps, armor upgrades, and defensive planning limit how much chance influences outcomes. In mythological warfare, reducing randomness often matters more than increasing raw power. Aries Cabin. Hidden advantage, psychological pressure. Aries kids bring intensity into every situation. Their presence raises aggression, fear, and emotional volatility in others. Opponents rush decisions. Allies push harder. Discipline erodes under pressure. Once order collapses, raw aggression thrives. Coordination breaks down. Mistakes multiply. Aries Cabin turns emotional instability into a weapon, and in close combat situations, that pressure often decides the winner. Chaos favors those prepared for it. Aries kids grow up training in unstable, high-pressure environments where fear and aggression are constant. That conditions them to function when situations fall apart. While other cabins rely on coordination and planning, Aries campers adapt instantly to disorder. When strategies collapse and battles turn messy, they remain effective. This gives them an advantage in ambushes, surprise attacks, and emotionally charged confrontations where calm thinking disappears. Their strength increases as structure breaks down. Athena Cabin. Hidden advantage, outcome prediction. Athena kids excel at pattern recognition and foresight. They anticipate consequences early and identify weaknesses before situations escalate. That foresight prevents catastrophic mistakes. Poor plans never develop fully. Dangerous paths get avoided. Survival improves when disasters never happen in the first place. Athena Cabin stays effective by reducing risk rather than reacting to it. Avoided disasters never get credit. Plans that fail quietly never make it into stories. Athena Cabin's advantage lies in preventing moments that would have become legendary failures. Their success leaves less evidence behind, which makes it easy to underestimate. Poseidon Cabin. Hidden advantage, environmental advantage. Poseidon kids draw strength, stamina, and confidence from water. Camp Half-Blood's location makes this a constant advantage. Recovery improves. Endurance lasts longer. Confidence grows naturally in familiar terrain. This environmental edge compounds over time. Repeated exposure builds resilience and effectiveness. Terrain shapes power, and Poseidon Cabin benefits from the camp's geography every day. Environmental familiarity also shapes confidence. Poseidon kids feel grounded near water, which improves reaction time and decision-making under stress. Confidence reduces hesitation, and hesitation often decides fights. Over time, repeated exposure to favorable terrain creates a feedback loop. Stronger recovery leads to better performance, which builds experience, which further improves confidence. That compounding effect explains why Poseidon campers often outperform expectations even when facing stronger opponents. Dionysus Cabin. Hidden advantage, mental resilience. Dionysus kids process chaos differently. Stress, fear, emotional overload, and instability affect them less. In prolonged danger, mental endurance matters as much as physical strength. Panic ruins decision-making. Burnout weakens even powerful fighters. This cabin remains functional when others falter. Sanity becomes a survival trait, and Dionysus Cabin preserves it. Mental resilience also affects leadership under pressure. Demigods who resist panic think more clearly when plans fail. Dionysus kids tolerate uncertainty, emotional instability, and prolonged stress without breaking focus. That makes them valuable during drawn-out threats, cursed environments, or psychologically destabilizing encounters. While others burn energy managing fear, this cabin conserves it. Endurance at the mental level often outlasts physical strength in prolonged conflict. Artemis and the Hunters. Hidden advantage, autonomy. The Hunters operate outside Camp Half-Blood's internal structure. No rivalries, no hierarchy pressure, no expectations. They move independently, choose their engagements, and avoid internal politics entirely. That autonomy makes them unpredictable and difficult to manipulate. Freedom allows flexibility, and flexibility wins in unstable environments. Autonomy also removes internal friction. The Hunters avoid the emotional strain caused by rivalries, expectations, and social hierarchy. That absence of internal conflict preserves focus. They choose when to engage, when to withdraw, and when to observe. That control over commitment prevents overextension and unnecessary losses. In unpredictable environments, selective engagement increases survival more reliably than raw power. Zeus Cabin. Hidden advantage, authority. Zeus kids command attention naturally. Camp culture mirrors Olympus. People listen, people hesitate, people follow. In crises, authority accelerates decision-making. Fewer arguments, faster responses, clear direction. Leadership forms around this cabin without effort, and that clarity prevents chaos during critical moments. Authority also simplifies coordination. When leadership is recognized immediately, fewer resources are wasted on debate. Orders move faster, groups align quicker. In emergencies, delayed decisions cost lives. Zeus Cabin accelerates response time by providing a focal point for action. Even reluctant leaders benefit from the structure authority creates. That efficiency matters most when seconds determine outcomes. Hera Cabin. Hidden advantage, structural power. Hera has no demigod children, yet her cabin exists as a symbol of unity and order. It functions as neutral ground. Planning happens here, mediation works here, stability takes priority here. Power sometimes manifests through structure rather than force. Hera Cabin represents the framework that keeps everything else from collapsing. Structural power influences continuity. Hera's domain governs bonds, alliances, and long-term cohesion. Her cabin represents permanence rather than reaction. When crises pass, this structure prevents fragmentation. Relationships repair faster. Trust rebuilds sooner. Planning resumes without lingering instability. Camps collapse not only from attacks, but from failing to recover afterward. Hera Cabin reinforces the framework that allows Camp Half-Blood to reset instead of unravel. Camp Half-Blood survives repeated threats because no single cabin carries the load alone. Each hidden advantage supports a different layer of stability. Information, morale, preparation, leadership, sustainability, and mental resilience. Remove any one of them and cracks appear quickly. The camp functions because these advantages overlap, reinforce each other, and compensate for weaknesses elsewhere. Hidden advantages rarely look impressive in isolation. They reveal themselves through outcomes, through survival, through leadership, through stability. Once you start seeing cabins this way, Camp Half-Blood stops feeling random and starts feeling deliberately designed. A lot of these advantages get ignored, but one of them matters more than the rest. Tell me which cabin you think actually holds the camp together, and subscribe if you want more Percy Jackson deep dives without the fluff.